Yo, what is up, everyone? Welcome to this impromptu again random Mavcast here. We're on a what is it already Wednesday? How is it already Wednesday? Anyway, yeah, I guess it's Wednesday at 2:30 p.m. Central Time. And today we've seen the internet explode, freaking out about the same thing again this year in the midst of all of the positivity going on in the Xbox fandom lately because we have so many games to play and there's all this stuff still coming. We have all these great game previews. We have random games dropping to Xbox. We have random games hitting Game Pass. We have all this stuff. This glorious ecosystem with game ownership coming to the cloud at some point as well. There's just a lot of things to be excited for. However, anytime that Phil Spencer himself has something to say in an interview and he kind of rehashes some of the stuff that was already said, maybe explains it in further detail as people want some clarity. Um, Internet explodes again. A lot of people saying, "See, I told you so." People that are upset about it, "See, I told you so," or people that are abandoning the ecosystem, feel justified, and all these other kind of things. It's just kind of like been an ongoing thing this year, ever since January. And honestly, I'm kind of like, is anybody really surprised at this point? I don't understand why the shock of a lot of people, with some of this stuff. It seems kind of more or less some of the same conversations. However, uh, at the end of the day, we all have to make the decisions that we feel is best for us and as gamers and for ourselves. And I'm gonna talk about what I'm gonna do and what maybe how a lot of other gamers might feel. I don't know. We'll see. And I'm just gonna be honest with you, I really don't care. So, that's just been my sentiment all along with this whole thing because I've never really felt like Xbox games going to PlayStation has any kind of negative effect on me whatsoever. In fact, I could actually make more cases for a positive effect than I can a negative, as the industry continues to move forward. But we'll talk about this. I know that a lot of people are still stuck in the mindset of the old ways of console platform, console games, make games exclusive, console sell. That's success. Happy gamer, successful console, more games. But that's not the day and age we actually live in anymore. And things need to kind of change with the mentality. There's been a clip going around of Everborn Saga actually, who was on a episode of Boom's podcast. On a Tuesday, I believe. I happened to be there that day as well, and everyone did a great job kind of breaking everything down from just the business perspective. And I agree with a lot he said. The only thing is different for me is I don't really care to leave the ecosystem because I'm happy playing games on Xboxes and playing the games on PC and on the cloud and all that kind of stuff. Because for me, that doesn't really matter, right? So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about some other things as well. I see Siki already says, "Hey, come on, Mav. Now that Xbox is going to PS, now you are okay with it. PlayStation would never put their games on Xbox." Well, I don't really play a lot of PlayStation games. I've had two PlayStation 5s this generation. I sold them both because there wasn't a lot of games I was excited for playing. And I don't really care if God of War comes to Xbox or Horizon comes to Xbox. We just got Death Stranding, that was one of them. We got MLB The Show. MLB The Show was one of the biggest franchises I cared about. The only game I could say that for I would like is Gran Turismo right now. Or maybe Ghost of Yote would be cool, but those are gonna probably eventually go to PC, and I have a PC also, so I don't really care. Like I feel like a lot has been like, well, but they don't do it for Xbox, so why should Xbox do it for them? Xbox isn't doing it for PlayStation gamers. Xbox isn't doing it to reward PlayStation. They're not doing it to reward PlayStation users. They're doing it to make money. It's not about like give and take. They Trojan horse their ass into the PlayStation ecosystem. If you actually look at the playtime, the metrics on the amount of games actual PlayStation users play, and you go and look at the analytics and that's reported from Circana. We talked about this on FSP on Monday. If you actually look at the count and the amount of time PlayStation users spend playing games, they spend more PlayStation users currently already spend more time playing Xbox games than they do PlayStation games. On the top 15 list of time spent on PlayStations, there was 3 or 4 Xbox owned franchises on there as opposed to one PlayStation game, and that was MLB The Show, which is already on Xbox and is also on Game Pass. Obviously, they see the time spent from PlayStation users playing their games and they wanna make money. PlayStation doesn't see the same value right now with Xbox because they're still stuck in the old ways, and they are trying to move forward, but they don't even have a PC storefront. They don't have all this stuff this expanded ecosystem that Xbox has that they're ready to do this. They don't have Activision Blizzard. They don't have ZeniMax Bethesda at their disposal as well. They don't have all this stuff. They have the classic old, hey, we have a couple of franchises that we're really standing behind and we're going to keep making new releases in those franchises and that's all we can count on and those are going to push consoles and that's going to be the thing. They tried to get out of it. They tried to change some things but they failed miserably. They're already starting to even change more. They're gonna keep trying. Eventually, they'll get there, but just like most things with the PlayStation when it comes to technological innovation as far as the ecosystem goes, they'll be about 5 or 6 years behind Xbox. That's kind of just what it is, and I gotta ask anybody in the Xbox ecosystem right now that's playing games on a console, on a PC, or in the cloud, or however you play your games, what changes for you? What changes for you? For me, as my experience so far this generation, I've only had more games to look forward to in the Xbox ecosystem than I ever have before, or at least since the 360 generation. With more ways to access the games, with better value, with features like dual entitlement, cloud saves, and all those kind of things. With a service like Game Pass that also gives me my games day and date to the service. And many can say, well, hey, if that's what you're happy about, you're going to keep telling them that, and they're just going to keep doing this stuff. Well, that's cool with me because I don't give a shit if Xbox puts their games on PlayStation. I don't care what PlayStation players play. If anything, I can make the argument that more players on some of these games actually makes the franchises more healthy, and we actually might get more games because of it. Because at the end of the day, if Microsoft and Xbox is becoming more successful and making more money on their franchises, that means there's more chance for more games, and those franchises also more chance for new IP to be successful as well. So, for me, I've never really looked at it as a negative. Now, the only concern you could say was, "Hey, what about the console? What if they abandon the console?" Well, you got to look at this. They already keep doubling down on hardware as well. Xbox does, and why would they do that? Because there's console gamers. And they're just gonna rely on PlayStation as the only console gamer they're gonna sell games to, and PlayStation doesn't even have Game Pass on it. The majority of Game Pass users currently are actually console users. So are they all of a sudden gonna say, "Well, we're all of a sudden just gonna allow all these subscribers to our ecosystem that we make billions of dollars on every year to just vanish?" Use your head. No, they're going to sell new hardware to the people that love to play on Xbox consoles, and they're going to make those. They're going to make new devices as well. They're going to make handhelds. They're going to make different kinds of things as well that we probably haven't even ever seen before. And because they're going to be reaching more people. There's not a platform holder that has had an ecosystem like Xbox with the amount of publishing power they have, with the amount of franchises and IP and development power ever in the history of gaming. And that's just a fact. Now we're seeing what that's going to entail. And does it include PlayStation now? Yeah, it does. Does it include Nintendo? Well, we already knew that as well. PlayStation's going to move over to Nintendo first because they're afraid of their fan base. And eventually, well, they're also afraid of Xbox, let's be honest. Like, if why do you think they fought the Call of Duty thing so hard? Like, they're you see the playtime. I mean, they're just so reliant on third party. And the more of that Xbox controls isn't great for them. But shout out to JD Gamer with the $5 super chat. I appreciate you for being here. Says, let's bring this up. There's a problem with the quote that everyone is running with, and it's that it's not just one quote, but two, and the second may be taken out of context. Well, I'm going to kind of go over this actual interview, and we'll kind of cover some of this and go specifically on the things that were said. And yeah, for me, I look forward to the games, and we got Stalker 2 coming, we got Flight Sim coming, we got um Indiana Jones coming around the corner. All are receiving great feedback from early impressions and all that kind of stuff. All these games are hitting Game Pass day and date. Today they had an announcement for the Warcraft 1, 2, and 3 actually in a bundle is hitting PC today and on Battle.net as well. There's just numerous things that they're doing. StarCraft Remastered and StarCraft 2 just hit PC Game Pass. We just had the Spyro trilogy hit Game Pass, plus also the new games coming that I just mentioned as well. And we're already off the heels of Age of Mythology Retold, Ara History Untold, Hellblade 2, and also Call of Duty Black Ops 6. So, hey, also, did you guys have a chance to check out the South of Midnight preview and the Indiana Jones gameplay deep dive or the South of Midnight documentary? I mean, holy shit, those games look amazing. Indiana Jones this December, South of Midnight next year. Appreciate that super chat, JD Gamer, very much so. All right, let's get into this. I don't know if I can show this on the screen because it's technically behind a paywall. So, but I'm kind of gonna go over some of the quotes here, and this is from his interview with Bloomberg. This is written by Dina Bass over on Bloomberg. Microsoft's gaming chief is still open to acquisitions after Activision deal is what the headline is. So after a tough year, Microsoft's video game chief is still looking at acquisitions and charting how to compete and partner in the markets for handheld game devices and mobile stores. Deals that add geographic diversity, including in Asia, might be worthwhile. Phil Spencer said in an interview to Tuesday at Bloomberg's offices in New York. Buying another mobile company would add to titles Microsoft picked up in its $69 billion acquisition of Activision Blizzard last year, he said. So, yeah, obviously, yeah, there's still, as they said before numerous times, Xbox and Microsoft are still looking at possible acquisitions. And as they said before as well, it sounds like they're focused more on the eastern side of the world and gonna look for some things to add and to bolster their lineup into Game Pass and also into the ecosystem, as they've already been doing with partnerships with Square, Sega, and also Capcom. Phil had said, "We definitely want to be in the market, and when we can find teams and technology and capability that add to what we're trying to do in gaming at Microsoft, absolutely we'll keep our heads up," and Spencer said. Still, there's nothing imminent, and very large deals are probably off the table at present as the company is spending a lot of time absorbing ABK employees, he says. Microsoft wants to diversify the teams working on games by looking more to China. He said the company developed a new mobile version of Age of Empires, which I've tried, which is pretty cool. A world building franchise that first appeared in the 1990s. Yeah, they are partnering with Tencent to release games globally in October to places where it's not already, obviously. Let's see. It's been a good area for us to learn from, he said. Blah blah blah. I'm gonna keep skipping on until we get to some more of the other interesting things. Company's working on prototype. Okay, here we go. The executive who has repeatedly professed his admiration for handheld game devices said the expectation is that we would do something in that category. So he's telling us to expect a handheld device. Although the company is working on prototypes and considering what it might do, Spencer also asked his group to look at the market and develop its vision based on what it learns. Such a device is a few years out, he said. So, again, this kind of puts a kibosh on any, "Hey, they're gonna reveal a handheld this year," kind of conversation. We've had plenty of that with some fun speculation about it as well. I know Fuzzy's been on that train quite a bit in the hopes and dreams of that. I thought it was a better idea personally if they do it earlier than later, just because of the generation gap and how they could use the handheld to kind of cross that. But overall, it looks like maybe a few years away from a handheld device on Xbox. But whatever it is, it sounds like it's gonna be interesting because they're trying several different prototypes and trying to figure out what the best approach is for that. So, I expect it maybe in a few years. What do we think? Maybe 2027? 2027 handheld? Maybe like a year or 2 after next gen launch, 2027, 2028? Could be something like that. I don't know. It says in the coming months, designers and engineers will focus on making the Xbox app work better on portable devices and partnering with hardware makers to make their products sync with Xbox games and experiences. The Xbox app right now is good rather than great on some of these gadgets, he said. Yeah, obviously, like iPhones and stuff, like Apple devices, they need to keep working on that. Android's so far pretty good on mobile. Sometimes things can be a little wonky or not necessarily work as much as you would want, but it's kind of the case with a lot of apps. I think I've had a pretty damn good experience with cloud gaming lately. I've been doing two things. I got this tablet here. It's a Samsung OLED tablet, right? Got my Gambit screen there. But anyway, I propped this up on my bed and at night when we're watching movies and TV shows, and I just either console stream or play games from Game Pass or sometimes even use Steam Link on it, and it's fucking awesome experience, gotta tell you. Like, I don't really have any lag. The games feel, I mean, it's not as good as playing with a, native with the screen right in front of you, type experience, but, that I think the cloud's gonna keep getting better. Overall, the only drawback, not even latency, hasn't really has been much of a drawback. It's just, like, overall resolution quality sometimes. But that's not a huge deal, and that still keeps getting better. I'd actually say cloud gaming on Xbox today is 10 times better than what it was than when it launched. Because I was not having anywhere near as good experiences then, but now it is. And I just, when I'm doing this more and more, I think about the future and how things are going to keep evolving and changing, and technology is going to keep getting better and making those experiences better, and how that's going to affect the way people play and access their games. It's gonna be interesting to watch. Also with the cloud, gaming thing they're doing is they're gonna make it to where you can play the games you own as well without having to do console streaming. You can just use the, app if you're like a Game Pass Ultimate subscriber. So that's pretty cool too, man. Like, we got a lot to look forward to with that stuff. Long term, he said, "I love us building devices." Everybody, raising the alarm bells about Xbox getting out of hardware, which has been the number one concern, I would think, for people that have an issue with them putting games on PlayStation, that always say, "Well, why do you even need to buy an Xbox? Or why do," well, they're gonna sell them to people that want them because they make more money on the people that are in the ecosystem in the storefront, and they want the Game Pass subscribers. They want the Xbox Live, or don't call it that anymore. We call it just Game Pass. We have the different tiers, but they want all those subscribers. Like, they make billions of dollars a year from that, and it's profitable. Even if it sells the same amount or about the same amount every generation, they're gonna try and find ways to reach these gamers that are invested in the Xbox ecosystem, that have games, that have libraries, have huge libraries, that have Game Pass. They're gonna keep selling as hardware. And a lot of this conversation will change the second that they actually unveil next gen hardware, which will happen not anytime soon. But when it does happen, you'll hear a lot of conversation changing, or Or maybe you'll even hear people say like, "Why would I buy this? Because I can just get a PlayStation because my Xbox games are gonna be on PlayStation." Well, it's like, well, if you wanna buy a PlayStation, Xbox will be happy with that too. They'll sell you your games over there, or if you wanna continue to play on Xbox and get Game Pass, and take advantage of everything the ecosystem offers on top of PlayStation, then you can do that too. And I think there's a lot of people that are still gonna do that. And if you don't, that's cool too. I know a lot of people have been transitioning to PC. I've even been doing a lot more PC gaming lately as well. So, but as long as you're playing their games and spending money, they're happy with that. But it's not as reliant. Like this is the thing. Like people are stuck in the mentality that Xbox has to be reliant on console. They can still have consoles, but not be reliant on it as the driver of the entire ecosystem. They're growing like, they've been saying this for years about how many gamers they're trying to reach. Remember when Phil said they're trying to reach 3 billion gamers? Remember that? Everybody laughed it off, right? Like 3 billion, yeah, whatever. I mean, they're putting their games as many places as possible. We're seeing that now before our eyes. I mean, with mobile stuff they're trying to do, with the cloud they're trying to do, with putting the games on PlayStation, with all these other kind of things. That's what they're reaching as many gamers as possible. But that includes Xbox console owners as well and Xbox devices. Anyway, that's just I don't try and look this from like a console war standpoint or a old style traditional business model standpoint. I try and look at this from a common sense and logical perspective about where the industry is headed and what Xbox is trying to do. And I don't know. I don't know about you guys, but if I'm a huge company like Microsoft, I don't like leaving billions of dollars on the table. Does that make any sense to you? Yeah, well, we have all these Xbox guys that like Xbox that like to spend money. In fact, actually, our Game Pass subscribers spend more money than anybody else. Also, the console users are playing games more than they ever have before, and they spend more money than anybody else. Nah, we don't like those guys anymore. We're just not gonna even make a device for them. Is that logical? When Sarah Bond sat up there and was talking about how the console is also a target for development and how it kind of sets things up for their cloud and all these other kind of things. People not listening to how their systems work. Things are going to evolve and change for sure. But to think they're just not going to make devices anymore is really naive, guys. It is. Like maybe I'll be the random one that's wrong or something, but it just doesn't make any damn sense. It's not logical. Does it's not common sense thinking from, like, their business perspective, which is about making money. So again, like Phil said, longer term, I love us building devices, and I think our team could do some real innovative work, but we wanna be informed by learning and what's happening now. The company's planned online store for mobile games has been delayed as the group does additional research on the market, Spencer said. Xbox president Sarah Bond had announced the store in May with a planned release date of July, but staffers are still talking to mobile developers, including those responsible for Microsoft owned Candy Crush and Call of Duty Mobile, to figure out a plan. As regulatory cases involve Apple Inc.'s iOS and Alphabet Inc.'s Android mobile stores work their way through courts in various countries, Microsoft still doesn't have an effective way to get its own store on mobile phones. So, web store would mean somebody doesn't have to go into the app store to try to install something, but you still have to have a way to find the store, Spencer said. If we're just hoping, like, if we build it, they will come, I'm gonna bet that doesn't work. So they're trying to figure out how to meaningfully have this launch. It sounds like on those devices. That means Xbox has to make its store unique for players and figure out what will draw content creators. At the same time, it's preparing for a world where Apple and Google mobile devices are more open to Xbox. I think the ball is moving in the right direction, Spencer said. I think the idea of open platforms where users have more choice, creators have more choice. You see the momentum, right? After releasing the first batch of Xbox games for PlayStation and Nintendo, Spencer is pleased with the results. Microsoft will do more of that, he said, and won't rule out any game and Microsoft stable. Now, these are the comments that is making the rounds and causing all the controversy. He says, I do not see sort of red lines in our portfolio that say, thou must not, he said. It's too early to make any sort of decision on the next version of Halo, he said. So what does this mean? It just means they're open to anything if it makes business sense for the game. And that's what they're gonna do. This is what like after it became a thing, right? This is what like when me and Pong had discussions talking about this, it's what we said they're gonna do. Like they're gonna it's still case by case technically, but it's gonna be more so than not, right? I think you're gonna have some that don't here and there. They may try some or different things, but like overall, there's gonna be more of this stuff going to PlayStation. It doesn't mean everything. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, but definitely more, right? It's definitely more. You have to ask yourself as a gamer, like, well, that's fine if you love PlayStation and you own a PlayStation and you have all the PlayStation games and you just want to play those games and then you're cool with either one waiting or even if it is day and date, paying more money for the Xbox games on a PlayStation, hey, then that's cool for you too. But I will tell you this, there's more and more Xbox games coming than ever before in the years ahead. And the best value isn't going to be on PlayStation. It's going to be on the Xbox ecosystem over on Xbox, PC, and cloud. And as those are my favorite games, that's where I'm going to continue to be. So for me, that nothing changes here. Um, I would like to see PlayStation do the same. Are they going to? Probably not. Will they eventually? Maybe. I don't know. But for me, it doesn't matter as much because I don't care as much about those franchises, right? It's up to the gamers. Like if there's people that are just so sold on PlayStation and they're so locked into that ecosystem, Xbox really isn't going to drive those people over as much as they would like to make any kind of meaningful, huge shift. Um, but they can't get those people to keep playing Xbox games more than PlayStation games, which they already are. Minecraft, Call of Duty, Overwatch. Let this sink in. On the most played games in the US last week, or for the week that was just reported by Circana, Overwatch 2 had more play time on PlayStation than Destiny. Destiny didn't even make their top 15. Astrobot didn't make their top 15. Silent Hill 2 didn't make their top 15. The only PlayStation owned franchise that made their top 15 in gameplay time was MLB The Show 2024. Everything else was either third party in Microsoft games. I think there's 3 or 4 Microsoft games. You had Overwatch, you had, Minecraft, you had Call of Duty, and there could have been one more. I can't remember for sure off the top of my head. But that's just reality. That's the world we live in. PlayStation gamers play Xbox franchises more than they do PlayStation on a weekly basis. And that's just not console worship. I mean, that's just reality. That's just the world we live in. That's fact. So anyway, let me go move on. He said there's no red lines, meaning they're willing to do whatever makes sense. I'm cool with that. I would argue that the healthier the games is better for me, right? The Xbox business has never been more healthy, he said, citing growth in cloud and PC gaming as well as console usage. The business is performing right now, and I think that means a more healthy future for hardware and the games we build. So let me tell you why the console usage matters, right? Because if the console sales are going to either stagnate or dwindle generation to generation and be about the same, the more engagement and the more time spent on each console being played is more valuable to them. What's up, Boom? How's it going, dude? So it's a very important metric for them when they're looking at the value of the console gamer and why the Game Pass subscriber and the console gamer spends more money than anybody else in the ecosystem. They ain't gonna just abandon that. Again, their business. They like to make money. They see this. Okay, who is the number one Xbox user? It spends the most money. It's the console Xbox gamer. And there's a lot of console gamers that don't want to buy a PC. There's a lot of console gamers that don't want to buy other devices. They just want to buy an Xbox and they're going to sell you one. Again, he said the Xbox business has never been more healthy. He said, it's awesome to hear. As people always say, Xbox is dead. Again, in the chat, JB, Xbox is dead. Am I right? Yeah. No, it's had never been more healthy, man. Like it's like people have. I've said this numerous times. Your idea of what Xbox is as a traditional console platform, releasing games that only Xbox gamers can play on the Xbox, and they're meant to drive the sales of that console and that console only and all that kind of stuff. The idea that gamers have in their minds over the traditional old console platform market is changing. That is what's dead. Xbox as a brand, Xbox as an ecosystem is healthier and growing bigger than ever before. They're stronger than ever before. They're doing more. They're selling more games. They're having more users. They're getting more playtime than ever before. And those are not that's just reality. That's just the reality of the world we live in. So I don't know how people can get that into their head instead of focusing on console sales as the only metric of success. Even PlayStation says that is not the metric of success anymore for them. Numerous times coming out over and over and over again how they need to figure out how to reach more gamers. Just be honest with yourself. Get out of your feelings about exclusivity and about PlayStation guys potentially playing Halo. It doesn't matter. If PlayStation guys play Halo, Halo's more successful. You still get to play it in Game Pass and also play it on your Xbox console or play it on your PC or play it in the cloud. That doesn't change. So yeah, again, he says, I feel pretty good about where the industry is going. To reach new players, we need to be creative and adaptive of new business models, new devices, and new ways of access. So, I mean, like, really just look at it. Like, just get out of your feels. I understand we're gamers, we're passionate, we have these feelings and all this stuff, but like get out of your feelings for a second about this and look at it from their perspective, right? Look at it from Microsoft's perspective. Look at it from overall and look at it as how does it actually affect you? As a gamer, how does this affect you? Now, if it you feel like it affects you somehow, besides emotionally, and console war list wars, if you feel like it affects you actually with your experience, hey, I can understand. I can listen to some kind of reason there and have some kind of conversation and justification about it. But if we're talking about your identity was focused on console warring for Xbox, and that's your identity because you were always saying that Xbox is going to have more exclusives than PlayStation, and now that's not happening. Therefore, Xbox is dead because that's all that matters. Then you're delusional. Just look at it from the overall perspective and how it actually affects you as a gamer, sitting down and accessing and playing your games. I'll be playing my games here on my PC, on the Xbox storefront, where I get dual entitlement, or I'll be playing here, if I can show it, ah, on my console. There it is. Or one of my other Xbox consoles, or whatever the new one they come out with next generation. Or I'll be playing it via the cloud. I accidentally unplugged my camera. There it goes. Um, yeah, guys. Is it coming back? The camera coming back. Come on, camera. Why do gamers need so much assurance? E-Rank says. Man, that is a great question. I think honestly, it's about it's about feeling special. I don't know how else to put it, man. Like I made this joke a lot of times um about gamers like having this need to feel like they're treated as some kind of like special person or something because they choose that ecosystem, like they have to be rewarded for it, right? But we have all these expectations over things that only matter that don't actually affect us. They only matter for conversation, right? Like all of these things that people are upset about are only matter for comparison of conversation of how this is better than that, right? Like this is better than because. But the same people that are arguing these cases about this is no longer better than that because that has this now, right? So I feel less special. You're more special because you get more. I'm less special. All these people that have this mentality are ignoring the actual benefits of the ecosystem that does actually make the ecosystem special in the first place. The reason why the ecosystem is actually superior in value than a lot of the competition and what they're actually doing for us, which is as a consumer, what we should be focused on. A game like Death Stranding actually just coming to PlayStation or coming to Xbox for $20 half off with dual entitlement to where you spend the $20, you can actually play on the console or PC. That is unique to the Xbox ecosystem. Metaphor Refantasio, same thing. It launched, and even it's not in Game Pass and all that stuff, right? It launched, and it has dual entitlement. You can access that game on PC and on console, and your cloud save goes between the two seamlessly. Call of Duty. Now, if you're in Game Pass or buy the game, you get access via PC and Xbox consoles because it's owned by Microsoft now. You also get it in Game Pass Day and Date, which was a game that I would buy every year for $70. Now I no longer have to spend that money. And guess what? Xbox is okay with it because more people is driving more people to play Call of Duty. Stalker 2, Day and Date into Game Pass. Flight Sim, Day and Date into Game Pass. Indiana Jones, Day and Date into Game Pass. Hellblade 2, Day and Date into Game Pass. Age of Mythology Retold, Day and Date into Game Pass. Ara History Untold, Day and Date into Game Pass. That's just this year from first party. Well, Stalker 2 is not first party, but you know what I mean. Play those games with PC, Xbox, where PC or Xbox, wherever you want. Cloud saves move everywhere with you. These are the things we should be asking other ecosystems to do. But instead, people care more about You can play this game and I can't, or I can play this game and you can't. If you were enjoying the Xbox ecosystem before and you were loving your experience and you're looking forward to these games and you're enjoying the benefits of the ecosystem that are exclusive to Xbox, because PlayStation doesn't do day and date games. PlayStation doesn't allow your cloud save to go wherever you are. They even actually charge for it. If you're actually enjoying the Xbox ecosystem now and looking forward to all these games next year, Doom the Dark Ages, Fable, South of Midnight, which just got the awesome documentary. What else? Avowed. If you're looking forward to these games and you were already looking forward to them, and if you've been preaching and praising and talking about how these games are going to be amazing, how it's going to be awesome, and how I'm so excited for everything Xbox is doing, now because PlayStation gamers get to potentially play some of these games, you don't care about them anymore, and you don't care about them to play on your console that you have been praising and preaching about and loving and talking about how much better it was than PlayStation for so long. All of a sudden, you're willing to just say, I don't care about this anymore because I'm going to go and play on the console that I've been preaching and praising or saying that's inferior for years. I'm going to go and lessen my experience by playing on something I've been shitting on for years. I for years, these people have been saying how much worse. Remember all these podcasts before the launch of this generation, how much better Xbox is than PlayStation, and all these games, and how all their games suck because they're all the same and all this other stuff. So your experience is better to go to that place that you have been shitting on for years so you can play Xbox games potentially later and for more money with less features in the ecosystem that give you a worse value overall than just staying where it's good. Staying where you've been appreciating this shit, staying where you've been loving it, to where all the things that you've been praising about cloud saves, about dual entitlement, about Game Pass day and date, all of this kind of stuff. You've been praising it, but all of a sudden, a PlayStation guy gets to fucking touch Halo for the first time. I am done. I can't take it anymore. My feelings are hurt. My identity is broken. I am no longer special because I was saying how these games were only for Xbox gamers and nobody else. So I should be upset right now. You know what? That makes them the place for me. Yeah, it's actually looking good now. Never mind everything I've been saying for the last 5 or 6 years. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. All of a sudden, it's great over there. Hey, $70. Take my money. How about let's get remasters on all those Xbox games too, year after year after year. Let's just start doing that. Let's just start doing that to all these Xbox games and charge us for it. That's the way to go. I've been talking shit about that for years, but now it's the way to go. Let's go do that. Yeah, baby. I'm all on board. It just doesn't add up. It's not logical thinking. It just doesn't make any damn sense. Get out of your feelings and actually think of it like, how does this actually affect me outside of my console war mentality? How does it affect me besides my console war mentality? And I will tell you the answer. It doesn't. And in fact, actually, the things could only potentially get better because as Xbox continues to double down on their ecosystem and grow to more gamers, guess what? If they do acquire more publishers or developers and those games end up hitting Game Pass, they have more reason to do so because they're reaching more gamers. They're reaching more people, therefore they have more interest in actually doing more. And as a console slash PC, cloud, whatever ecosystem user, You are benefiting the most on it because you have the best value in everything that they're doing. Let it sink in. Everybody's saying, well, but why do games keep skipping Xbox then? This generation. Let it sink in. This generation, more games that had been skipping Xbox are starting to go to the ecosystem than ever before. Square Enix said, PlayStation, you're not good enough for us anymore. PlayStation says, we've been disappointed by our partnership. PlayStation, we can't just sell games to your users because guess what? They're not even fucking playing your games. You think they're going to play our games? They're not even fucking playing your games. They're playing Microsoft games. They're playing Xbox games on PlayStation. You think we want to just be exclusive on your platform? Your gamers don't give a shit about Square Enix games like they say they do. It's cool for marketing for you. It's helping you sell consoles, but fuck, what is it doing for Square? Square says, bye bye. I'm going everywhere. As people are making jokes about Xbox, now Square Enix is also for the streets. Square Enix is going everywhere because that's where the gamers are. They want to make money and grow their franchises. So Square is putting more games on Xbox. Sega did the same thing. They recently had a report come out where they talked about how much success they've had because they went and started putting their franchises that have been skipping Xbox on Xbox. Talking about the Atlas games, talking about the Yakuza games and all that shit. They said the same thing. All these games that used to skip Xbox, these major franchises from these third-party companies and JRPGs and all this other kind of stuff are now seeing Xbox as a huge value for them going forward. These exclusivity deals from the big pubs are starting to die out for PlayStation. They're going to have to start to invest more in acquisitions if they want to bolster their lineup, or they're going to have to keep doing second party and third party deals for smaller titles that they're going to have to hope they hit home runs on. Maybe they'll do behind the closed doors deals like they did with Black Myth Wukong. Maybe that's what they do. But they got to get creative because even PlayStation said their users aren't enough for them anymore. They need to grow. Rumors are swirling about them talking about even more games going to Nintendo. Lego Horizon Adventures just came out, or it's coming out this week. It's on the Switch. Jax82 with a $10 super chat. Appreciate you, Jax. Said, I'm looking forward to what Xbox has coming. I'm sticking with Xbox. They have done right by me as a consumer. They offer so much that doesn't get acknowledged. Can't wait for South and Midnight next year. Man, it's like, yeah, I'm 100% there with you, man. Like, why would I hurt myself in my experience because I feel like Xbox hurt my feelings as a consumer? I'm gonna go. Hey, fuck this. I'm gonna go spend more money somewhere else and actually get lesser value on the games that I've been saying I care about for years because Xbox is now saying that I don't matter or whatever. This is what the mentality is going around is. But yeah, like the consumer benefits in the ecosystem are crazy. We had a show on XUP last night. It was just or not last night, on Friday night. It was me and Fuzzy. And we were just talking about the Xbox ecosystem in general. And how many all right, so let this again, I keep saying this, but let this sink in. Just in the last month or so, we got huge content updates for Halo, Forza Motorsport, Forza Horizon, um, Overwatch, um, Diablo, Starfield. I mean, State of Decay had their last big update for State of Decay 2, which has been supported for years. There, there's so many things constantly for free. Age of Mythology Retold just came out a few months ago, and it already got a huge free update. Age 2 and Age 4 are getting updates. All of these games and franchises continue to live and with free content for years, and our experience only gets better with those games and those franchises as they get older. PlayStation doesn't have that. The most shocking thing about PlayStation 5's player totals or time spent playing games in the US for that week that I was talking about earlier was that Helldivers 2 didn't even make the fucking list, and which is a fantastic game. Absolutely amazing game. On PC, which is way more competitive space with tons more IP, tons more games, with way more consumer-minded focused gamers that just only care about their experience. Helldivers 2 has been in like the top 5 every fucking week. It's been up and down. The previous week it was number 2, it went to number 4 on PC on Steam. But it didn't even crack the top 15 on PlayStation. Why? Why? Why are PlayStation gamers not playing the PlayStation games? If they are so important and they are praised and preached about how it makes the actual experience in the console better, then oh, my mic's peaking every time I'm loud. Hold on, let me turn. Hopefully this helps. Is that maybe it'll be a little bit better. But anyway, if if that's what drives the ecosystem and that's what makes it so much better, right? And that's what people have been saying for a long time. Then why aren't you actually fucking playing the games? You finally have a great multiplayer game. You finally have one, and it's doing gangbusters on PC. But it still won't crack the top 15 now. You played Overwatch 2 more than Helldivers 2 and Destiny. Why? Doesn't make sense. A lot of the noise you see on Twitter and all this other kind of stuff with people arguing about the stuff or saying they care, you gotta look at this, guys. Like, we're a small piece of the pie. Like, yeah, we create a lot of noise and we drive conversation and it has an effect. But those top 15 games showing up on the list for PlayStation, like those gamers don't give a shit about what's going on Twitter and all that stuff. They just buy PlayStation because that's the de facto next gen console that their ecosystem that they're in, and that's what they're going to play the games on. Like th- they're just playing Call of Duty and fucking NBA and Madden and college football 25 and you'll see a lot of those same games on Xbox, Fortnite, Roblox, all these things, right? The difference was on the Xbox side, you actually have Microsoft owned IP in the top 15, a few of them. You had like 3 or 4. But over on PlayStation, the only one is MLB The Show. So why aren't they playing Helldivers 2? I can't get my head around the fucking idea that they have Helldivers 2 on PlayStation, but they don't care. Like why? Why aren't they playing it? I don't understand. It just doesn't make any damn sense. So anyway, would they play Halo? Maybe. Maybe. I don't know. They didn't touch Concord. Um hopefully they play fair games, right? But yeah, it's an enigma. It's something we tried to discuss the other day, and I just couldn't figure it out. Yeah, just get at like think about it, like logically, common sense wise, like perspective. Put in perspective. As a gamer, how does it affect you? When I'm playing Avowed, when I'm playing Indiana Jones, when I'm playing Flight Sim 2024, when I'm playing South of Midnight, when I'm playing Fable, when I'm playing Doom: The Dark Ages, when I'm playing all these other things, when I'm playing all this shit, when I'm playing all these games, how does it affect me that some of those games could be on PlayStation? I'll tell you the answer, it doesn't, because my experience is going to be the same. I'm going to continue to play those games the way I would have played them anyway. The only difference is they actually have a chance of being more successful, which is better for those franchises. Which means as a gamer, potentially, I could even see more games in those franchises if I love them. Which also means if I'm also an Xbox gamer, what's my benefit of playing the games in the Xbox ecosystem? Well, you get dual entitlement if you buy it. You if you have Game Pass, you get to play the games without paying any extra money. Just pass your Game Pass subscription. You get the cloud saves. You get to be able to play the game in the cloud. Actually, and if you buy the game in the future, you're also going to have the cloud entitlement for the purchase games to be able to play them in the cloud as well. That's your benefit as an Xbox ecosystem consumer. That's the exclusive. That's the thing that makes Xbox special, and that's what they tried to talk about earlier on, and that Sarah Bond was talking when they had that sit down with Tina and Meanie and had to break the news that some games are going to PlayStation for the first time. They were focused on forward compatibility, backward compatibility, accessibility, and value for the consumers, and updating their games and bringing them forward wherever the players are, right? And that's like, I I that this is like too easy to see. Like sometimes it baffles me, and I was talking about this in the DMs with the guys, and like sometimes it baffles me how, like, you know how there's been all this excitement the last few weeks with Xbox ever since Call of Duty Black Ops 6 came out, and we got Stalker 2 coming around the corner. We got positive previews for that. We got positive previews for Indiana Jones, and we got South of Midnight documentary. Everybody's like, "Oh yeah, things are great again. Yeah, yeah, we're back. Xbox 360." How did you not see that? Like my thing with people is like, how how do you not see this coming? How do you not see the slate of games and the release schedule and the things that they've been working on with all these studios and all these developers and these publisher acquisitions and everything that they've been doing with everything they've been adding to the ecosystem? How do you not see that this is coming? That people are going to start to be excited because there's lots of games to play. So when there's a time when the games don't matter for them, like Age of Mythology releasing or Ara History Untold releasing on PC, they're saying, "Well, I don't care about those games; they don't count or whatever," right? Because they get discounted. Many people when they do the list for game releases this year, they don't even include those. They just include Hellblade 2, and then they say there was nothing since Hellblade 2 until Call of Duty. So they were like, "There's 5 months without games." Well, no, they had a Vessel of Hatred expansion for Diablo. They had the Starfield expansion, Shattered Space. They had Age of Mythology Retold, and they also had Aura History Untold, all launched within that same time span. In between Hellblade 2 and Call of Duty Black Ops 6. So how do people not, when they're looking at the games and they're all being negative and talking about how Xbox sucks and Xbox is gonna die, not just see the list of games coming up? And we've been saying this all year. There was talk about already people were saying doing their checklist for 2024, saying like, well, PlayStation had a better year because they had all these third-party exclusives and all this stuff." It's like 2024 ain't even over yet. Where are y'all grading the year as if it's complete? Look at the backloaded, titles that Xbox has. It started with Call of Duty, you get Flight Sim, you get Stalker 2, and then you get Indiana Jones all within 2 months of each other. Why are you just stopping now to take roll calls because you're done releasing games? I don't understand why all of a sudden the scorecard starts 2 weeks before Call of Duty Black Ops 6 comes out. But anyway, just wait until the end of the year, then look back at, hey, how was the year? But we could see this all along coming up for the year. Like we talked about this when everybody was doom and gloom. I'm like, what do you guys fucking want? What do you want them to do? They're putting games everywhere for tons of people. They're putting games out. Like they have lots of fucking games to play in different genres of different variety. They're updating most of all of their franchises for free. They're putting their games day and date into Game Pass. Like, what what beyond that are we asking for? The only thing that pisses people off is that PlayStation guys get to actually have some of the experiences that we do. And it's like, well, that ruins everything. Well, that's cool if it ruins it for you, but I gotta ask you, like, maybe you gotta look at your priorities about what matters most to you. Is it about the identity of you, or is it about your experience? Are you upset because you no longer feel as special, or is it because your experience changes? Because it ain't your experience. Your experience is actually only getting better. If it's your feelings that are hurt, well, yeah, you know what? That's cool. You can make the decision for yourself. And if you want to be that guy, be that guy. For me, I care more about my experience and what the games I have to look forward to, the value I'm getting for them. So I'm gonna keep doing that shit. OCD Gamer says, "See, I'm smart. I wear glasses." Sanchez said, and another 70 billion for Take Two and make GTA 6 to Xbox exclusive. Ponies will be like deer in the headlights. Yeah, that I mean, I don't think like, even as Phil said, I don't think we're seeing a major acquisition anytime soon. But maybe a publisher out of Japan or some kind of smaller or a couple studios from the east somewhere, Korea. Who knows, right? Yeah. D4 DOA says, "You remember the failed Xbox One sold over 80 million." Yeah, and like these series consoles have been pretty much on pace with the Xbox One generation. They started tailing behind a little bit, and it's going to continue to do so as people keep being able to access their games in other places. But again, I'll make the argument time and time again about the money and the financials for Xbox. Doesn't make sense for them not to stop making hardware for the consumers that want to play games on console. Like there's just too much money there. They're not going to give it up. It doesn't make any. It's not logical. It's not common sense, right? Let's see. JB1521 says Project TH looks like a Splinter Cell successor. Yeah, there's a game out there that looks a lot like Splinter Cell, but we're actually supposedly getting Splinter Cell, so hopefully that happens. Xbox needs Team Cherry for Hollow Knight. Um, well, that's coming to Game Pass day and date. Silk Song's already coming to Game Pass day and date. Like so, as a consumer for Xbox, like you could just look at it and be like, well, hey, I guess we don't really need them. I'm already getting the benefit of them being over. But I would say that a team like that only can produce one game like for so long is gonna have some benefit, but it's not gonna be like an ultimate driver for them. Like instead they can do a Game Pass deal and still get the same benefit, right? And help the developer that way. I think they'd be looking more at like publishers and studios that can crank games out a little bit more. But we'll see. Maybe or maybe they have see a studio that has a project they're really excited for that they think can do really well for them. Xbox One did not sell 80 million consoles, Michael Donnelly says. I don't know how many. It was 60 million, whatever it was. It wasn't enough. It was enough for them to be successful. That's all that matters. It was like, yeah, it was not nowhere near as much as the PS4, but they were fine. They came out with the Series console. And all this generation, people have been asking, "Is Xbox profitable? Xbox profitable?" All this other kind of stuff. It's been profitable the whole time. 65, James Thomas says 65, whatever. Cool. Yeah, 60 plus. Fuzzy says a lot of gamers. It's a lot of gamers. Imagine you say like people talk about how Steam and these handheld devices are being really successful right now, but they're selling like a few million. You know, I imagine like being disappointed that you're like you have 60 million people spending money in your ecosystem. Series is around 40 right now. They got a couple years left too, and they still sell for a little while after that. So it'll probably be like it'll probably end in the 50s. I'm sure this generation somewhere around there. I don't know, right? But overall, like they got a lot of consumers, and guess what? Next generation, will probably be less. Yeah. Gotta face the facts. Console gaming is changing, right? Console gaming is changing, everybody. It's just the future of the industry. Uh, I don't really see that change. I see the momentum keep evolving with technology, as accessibility keeps getting better with gaming. Having to own a console for gaming becomes more antiquated over time. And we're talking about generations of kids that grew up with iPads and other tablets and phones in their hands playing games, right? Like they're trying to reach beyond just the console, and they've been doing that for a long time. So they're just ahead of the game on that right now, but also they want to reach still the people that want to play games on console, and they're not just going to abandon that. They're going to do it on. They're going to sell games on PlayStation. They're going to sell games on Xbox consoles. They're going to sell games on the Switch, Switch Two, and they're going to keep moving forward that way. But just look at it and say, how does it affect you, right? Again, like I honestly could care. People asked me early on about like how would I feel if Halo went to PlayStation, and I had to think about it. Yeah, I remember this was like a couple years ago, and somebody asked me this. Is like I had to think about it. And I'm like, I don't know. Honestly, I don't think I would care. You know, like it's just why? Why would I? My identity is not Xbox. I enjoy playing games and on Xbox. I prefer their franchises. I prefer their games. Hasn't it always been about the games and the value of the ecosystem? Isn't those the things that have always been like what gaming's about? That's what I would thought, but maybe I was naive before like I started the channel and kind of got stepped into the gaming community, right? Like I used to think it was all about that. I used to think the games mattered more than anything. And that's supposedly why a lot of people were upset with Xbox for a long time. I mean, the people saying they're abandoning Xbox for this and that, whatever reason, were there all championing it on the entire Xbox One generation where they had less studios and less games coming out and less games have been were working on. They're sitting there praising it and championing it. I guess the only thing they actually cared about was Xbox versus PlayStation and that they were on Team Green. They didn't those guys don't give a shit about the games. If you gave a shit about the games, why would you wanna go somewhere else to spend more money and potentially play them later? You don't give a shit about the games. You just care about the fucking war. I learned, when this all started earlier this year, how many people were so wrapped up in that, and honestly, it kinda caught me by surprise a little bit. I think people started kinda coming around this year a little bit as their feelings stopped as they got over it, I guess. Things started getting good recently, with all the game releases and people are all excited again, looking forward to, uh, next year as well. But all of a sudden now Phil has this interview again, and he mentions games going to PlayStation, the no red line thing and stuff, and it's like, it's just started, all over again almost. It's pretty crazy. It's interesting. I'm just surprised that people are surprised, I guess. But anyway, I know what I'll do. Like I said earlier in the when we started the stream, I know what I'll do. I'm gonna do the same damn thing I'm doing now. I'm playing the fucking games on PC and cloud and on Xbox consoles. And I'm gonna keep doing that because that doesn't change. I'm gonna play them in Game Pass. For whatever the games are in Game Pass, I'm gonna take advantage of every fucking game I can that's in that service because I'm a consumer and I like the games that are on Xbox, and that's where I like to play. So that's where I like, why wouldn't I? Right? Like, why wouldn't I? You learn a lot when you start doing the podcasting and streaming and all that stuff, and you see the community on Twitter or wherever, and you see all these reactions and everybody like freaking out about this kind of stuff, right? And you kind of learn about what people actually care about. The most shocking thing to me, I would say this generation, was finding out that people don't actually care about the things that they said they do. The things that they were championing for years and years, the things that they would sit there and have arguments and shit on and be like say is the worst thing on the planet is now their favorite thing because Xbox put a couple games over there. It was mind blowing to see that reaction happen within the Xbox community earlier this year, and then it continue. So I don't know. It's an interesting world, right? People are interesting. People are always going to make their decisions with their feelings. I could make business arguments where I could say, well, Microsoft and Xbox, I think you could be actually making mistakes because you could benefit more by doing exclusives. And I think that would be better for you. Yeah, I could make that argument every day. Right. But that's not what they're doing. And does it upset me? No. So we'll see. Maybe we'll see how it all pans out at the end. Xbox could say, "Hey, we're no longer making a console next generation. Hey, we're not. We're just getting out of the hardware space. Hey, we're gonna abandon all of the game. We're gonna close up Game Pass. We're gonna shut down shop on this side. We're just gonna release games on PlayStation and Steam and Xbox PC, and that's all we're gonna do. Hey, if they do that, I'll be like, hey, I was fucking wrong, right? They do that, I would say I was fucking wrong, but the math don't add up for that. The business side doesn't add up for it, and for me, I just gotta look at it with the kinda logical, uh, common sense thinking about where the money is, and that's where I think they're gonna go. So, many places as possible includes Xbox users. Void Rat says, "I remember playing Counter Strike on a 56K modem. Had to shoot in front of people to hit them because of the lag." Yeah, dude. Um, yeah, well, I'll just have crazy gaming memories like that. Void Rat says, "Sony are ripping people off, and Nintendo are being petty about Power World. Seems evil. Microsoft ain't so bad these days." Speaking of an interesting thing was like, remember when Xbox allowed unions, right? ZeniMax Bethesda allowed unions. Well, supposedly a lot of Bethesda employees are upset about like return to work, return to office things, and all that kind of stuff. No longer work from home. So hey, they're going on strike. That's funny. We'll see how that pans out for all of them. Good luck to the Bethesda employees. Mongoose Mall, with a good point, here says, "It's not just fans, wait, wrong one, sorry. It's not just fans, it's also the media. Every media site right now. Top story is Phil Spencer, no red lines. Well, because it's gonna get a lot of clicks, right? Um, they're why does it keep happening? They're going to always like Phil Spencer interviews, especially when he talks about more games going to PlayStation. I understand it quite a bit actually with this case because it is a industry changing thing, right? But I'm curious what they say about it because there was one article that had come out like I think it was Game Rant or Games Radar. I can't remember. It was yesterday, and they actually had the headline of like something like, "Even though there's no reason to own an Xbox, Microsoft is putting it on sale." Like, and that kind of shit, that's like the shit that really bothers me. people talking about this today with Phil Spencer going on Bloomberg with a thing talking about the industry changing and talking about what they're doing. It makes sense when he says something like "no red lines." I don't blame the games media for actually rolling with that because that's a very bold statement to make. It's just not surprising to me, right? But it is industry changing, moving forward thing, right? That they got to talk about. But I'm curious more about what they say. It's about what they say in the context of that that is going to be more intriguing to the specific writers and the publications. Like the one I told you about where they said like, even though there's no reason to own an Xbox, like, but they're putting it on sale right now. That's ridiculous. If you like consoles, you got plenty of reasons to own an Xbox. You get all the cloud stuff I talked about. You get all the games and Game Pass day and date. You have tons of games to look forward to. They're gonna be in Game Pass. It's actually a really powerful console. It's more powerful than a traditional PS5. They have a better controller, in my opinion. You get dual entitlement for PC. So if you actually have a PC as well, then hey, you get to buy the game and you get to play it both places. Like you can I can make a million reasons why hey, there's a reason to own an Xbox. It just depends on where you like to play. If you're a console user, yeah, I'll tell you a million reasons why you like to why you could buy a Xbox or why you should buy a Xbox if you're interested in buying a console, right? But it depends. Like if you want to buy a PlayStation because you like PlayStation games more, buy a PlayStation. If you just play Call of Duty and NBA and Madden every fucking year and that's all you care about, hey, it doesn't matter what you fucking play on. Play on whichever one you like the controller and where your friends are. Doesn't matter. Except for one case there, Call of Duty is going to be a better well, actually Call of Duty and Madden will be a better deal on Xbox if you subscribe to Game Pass. But I wouldn't just subscribe to Game Pass for an entire year just to play those two games. So, in that case, yeah, just buy the games wherever you want, right? PlayStation, Xbox. But if you're a gamer that actually plays a shit ton of games and you are like looking forward to all these different games, these different franchises and all this other kind of stuff and yeah, I got this give you a million reasons why you wouldn't look at it buying an Xbox instead of a PlayStation. Unless that's the only games you like. That's fine too. It's up to the person, right? Up to the person. I'll say the majority of PlayStation users are probably the Call of Duty, NBA, Madden guys. Roblox, Fortnite. Roblox now. It didn't used to be there, but now it is. Fortnite, Minecraft. That's it, right? OCD Gamer says if Xbox had Trombone Champ, I'd be set. Yeah. Um. So overall, it's just play where you want, right? And if you like Xbox, play on Xbox. That shouldn't change. But I guess for some it does just because of this, you know. Anyway, interesting stuff. Well, this was a fun how long was that going for? How long have we been doing this now? Um hour and a half, hour and 20 minutes or so. It's a fun stream, guys. I just wanted to get some thoughts. I see all this craziness going on social media and Twitter and stuff. So I want to talk about his no red lines, what that means. Will we see Gears? Will we see Halo? Will we see um what else? What else would shock you? Fable? Let's say they decide to put Fable over there, right? What would shock you? Like what red line would be crossed that would actually surprise you? And nothing would surprise me at this point whatsoever. But for some people, there's like certain games that cross the line, you know? I don't get it. And do we need to expect PlayStation to return the favor? No, because they're not doing it for PlayStation. They're doing it to make money off of PlayStation. Forza would be surprising because of Gran Turismo versus Forza, right? Forza Horizon wouldn't be surprising because it's the best, like, arcade kind of more casual open world racer out there. But at this point in its life cycle, it would be a little surprising for Forza Horizon 5. I think if that were to happen, it would be more likely Forza Horizon uh 6, right? Um Halo remake definitely going to PlayStation. That could be interesting. Yeah. Honestly, Fable would be the most shocking, but in the end, it would be fine with it. Also, Motorsport. Motorsport would be surprising just because of the GT7 versus Motorsport thing, right? It would be crazy. That one would be like, well, for racing fans, right? For racing fans in general, if like somebody is only a racing game fan, yeah, at that point, buy a PlayStation, right? If all you care about is Forza and GT7 and you buy both consoles for it, hey, at that point, yeah, you're golden with PlayStation. Whoop Whoop Kid, Gears would be wild. Could happen. It very well could happen. Um, I don't know. Like I guess Forza would be the most interesting one. Michael Donnelly says, "Why some Xbox fanboys defend Phil Spencer and his lies, beggar belief." Are we? So who's a beggar? I first off, like, hey, if Phil's a business guy, like, I'm not saying like he's right. I could actually. Well, he's a games guy first. He's turning more into CEO Phil. But I could have a discussion with Phil Spencer and make cases why I think it makes more sense business wise for them to do exclusivity, and I think it'd be better for Xbox in the long run, right? I probably wouldn't win the argument. I don't know, but I could try. I mean, I personally think they have room to grow still in the console market. As they say that it's kind of stagnant and not going to change. I think it could change more than they think, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I think Xbox sees it as it's not gonna change too much, and they're looking more towards the future and grabbing all the other gamers. Like, what's the better metric for them? Slight growth just on Xbox ecosystem or grabbing the however many million at PlayStation users there are, plus also the, uh, more mobile gamers and all that kinda stuff. They see more benefit from that than they do selling a higher percentage of Xbox consoles. That's a decision that apparently they've made internally, right? So that's what they're doing. They tested it, they liked it, and they're gonna keep rolling with it regardless of the feelings of the Xbox fans. So I could have a discussion with Phil about it and try and make a case. I wouldn't win, right? But ultimately, yeah, I mean, I have some thoughts with that. Um, but does it affect me as a consumer and the way I'm gonna be playing my games? No, doesn't whatsoever. So you can call that defending Phil or just being a realist about me caring more about my experience than a console war. Big Mad Mo says, "Doesn't PlayStation have to agree to having the games over there or no?" Yeah, but then PlayStation's gonna say yes because their users play Microsoft games more than PlayStation games. Like, look at the playtime on the weekly basis. Xbox franchises are played more on PlayStation than PlayStation franchises every week on the big multi-platform, franchises that Microsoft owns. Yeah, I mean, you got Minecraft in there, Overwatch 2 was in there last week. You had um um Call of Duty obviously number 1, right? So those 3 are in there. The only again PlayStation game in there for them was MLB The Show. So yeah, PlayStation's like, "Hey, yeah, keep putting the games over here because we need multiplayer games that our guys are going to play, right?" Because they're not playing Helldivers 2 for some reason. Don't know why. So, yeah, I think they have to agree to it, but even if they didn't, or even if they do, even if I don't know 100% with that, but I think they have to because, they have to allow it in their store, but they would have no reason to deny them. I think you could be looking at potential, like, weird legal stuff then, but, like, even if they allow it, like, I think they would want it, you know, because it's just more money for them. It helps make their ecosystem stronger too, you know? I think maybe that's also part of the problem some of the Xbox guys have is like, "Well, we don't want PlayStation to be even better. Why are we making them better? They've already been killing us. Let's not give them more." I think that's part of the mentality too, but, like, I don't know. I don't really care about that shit. Nicholas says that is going third party, no more consoles besides perhaps that handheld is my what I think is the future. Well, I think they're gonna do a more of a traditional is kind of console thing and then a handheld, but who knows? I think but he did say they're not interested in doing like $1,000 consoles. That's not the way to grow the market. We're gonna have to see what happens with the cost of making devices and what they're able to pull off with hardware. So the cost of consoles is gonna get higher and higher. We already saw with the PS5 Pro at $700, right? That doesn't have a disk drive or a stand. So they're looking at the cost and they're gonna make decisions based on that. There's a lot of factors at play with all this stuff. But ultimately, I think there's gonna be a console of some kind. I think there's gonna be handheld, and I think they're going to keep making devices to attract different kinds of consumers, right? But they don't wanna again, the number one driver of money right now for them is still the console user Game Pass subscriber. So imagine in 2 years, they said, "Oh, we don't have a new console for you," but then PlayStation does, like, a year later, and then the games all just are way better everywhere else. They're gonna lose all their console gamers, right? To to other places. They're not interested in that. They're going to make devices still to keep those gamers that love Xbox, that spend money on Xbox, that play those games on Xbox every generation, right? Home on Xbox. They wanna still make a device. I believe in that 100%. And why do I believe in that 100%? Because the money makes sense. It doesn't make sense to tell all these people to go play on PlayStation and cancel your Game Pass subscriptions. Imagine that, right? But anyway, yeah, that's just where we're at. So I put a lot of thoughts into it. I'm just read a couple comments from the chat. If a new Xbox console comes in 2026, there needs to be a big drop in price for existing consoles next year. There's politics at play here as well. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert, but there's a lot of conversation right now about the cost of goods from China, depending on tariffs and all these other kind of things, right? A lot of it's political. I don't want to get into that stuff, but there's a lot of conversation, and I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's ultimately, and I think a lot of the businesses don't know what's going to happen and all that kind of stuff too. But if the cost of goods becomes more expensive because the companies purchasing from China have to pay more because of tariffs, then that could potentially, according to a lot of people out there, drive the cost of a lot of these things higher. So you could, and there was an article about this. I think it was Forbes. I can't remember who wrote it, but it could potentially make consoles more expensive, like electronic devices in general, right? So we'll see. I don't know. Again, a lot of it's political. I don't want to get into that stuff, but that's just conversations that are happening. It's something that you got to believe that these big corporations and companies are looking at because the more expensive the devices, the less people are going to buy them, unless you're a cell phone. So there's a lot of factors that play and just in the general like economics of things with general like production cost with availability of stuff. Like the biggest problem early this generation was like availability of parts, right? So yeah, tariffs, Governor Grimm. Yeah, those tariffs. The companies have to pay the tariffs that like I think they're potentially talking about like a 60% tariff or something. I'm not sure what's going on. Anyway, it's just, there's articles and stuff all about this shit, and I kind of read a little bit, but I don't get too much into it. But there's a lot of conversation. There's a lot of companies that are buying supposedly a lot right now to get ahead of this, right? They're like stocking up. So, but I don't know what's true, what's not. I don't know. I don't know. I have no clue. So we will see, right, what happens. But there's a lot of companies that are paying attention to that kind of stuff. Anytime you have a major shift in um, economics and trade and politics and all that stuff, it changes things. So some could be for the benefit, some could be for a detriment. So some of these things could actually cause an effect on what some of these companies end up doing. Who knows? Like I don't know. Could there be um, companies that are given like, well, we're not gonna, you get a free pass? Or I don't know. I don't know how it works, right? Ultimately, at the end of the day, uh, a lot of things are unknown about the future, right? But we do know one thing: technology will continue pushing forward, and the company's number one motivating factor is to make money and to grow the profit and to reach more people and grow as a business. So ultimately, that's going to be what their goals are. And I just don't see a world where you have 30 plus million, maybe closer to 40 now, Game Pass Ultimate subscribers. And they say, well, so long, guys, cancel your subscriptions because there's not going to be a new console for you. You're going to have to play on the Xbox Series consoles forever. I don't see that world. But like I said before, could be wrong. Could be wrong. This doesn't make sense to me. But we will see in time. And I want to thank everybody in the chat for being here and having conversations about this stuff. Yeah, we'll have more tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Pong Soul and I will be going live for PM in the PM. Have some discussions about Phil's red lines, and also talk about some other news that happened today or possibly also tomorrow. Thursdays are seemingly always huge for gaming news as well. So, Memecast guy says they aren't playing Helldivers 2 because that game is the same thing over and over. I killed enough bugs and robots. That game is fun at first, then too repetitive. Well, hey, the PC guys are loving it still. I like the game. I haven't played it in a while, but um it's just weird that they have a successful PlayStation owned multiplayer franchise and they ain't touching it. X XBX Lord Chaos says, Matt, I have a question. How many studios does Xbox own compared to PlayStation? Oh, geez. Well, that's a complicated question too, because like Blizzard alone is made up of like 9 studios. I can't remember the number, right? Activision has, God, I gotta look this up. Okay. Xbox or Microsoft. I guess let's say Microsoft owns studios. There's too many just somebody in the chat know the numbers to this? That's a good question. Okay, list of Microsoft gaming studios. Okay, so they have Beanox, Quebec, Beanox Montreal, um, Bethesda Game Studios, Compulsion Games, Demonware Vancouver, Activision Vancouver, Sledgehammer Games, The Coalition, Treyarch Vancouver. That's just in Canada. Now, obviously, like Activision, Treyarch, Sledgehammer, they're mostly Call of Duty and they work in tandem with their other studios. But if you're asking capable of making their own games, I would say maybe some of these studios are. So it's hard to say. And Mexico is Infinity Ward Mexico. US, you got Activision Boulder, Activision Dallas, Activision Eden Prairie, Activision Fayetteville, Activision Los Angeles, Activision Portland, Activision Redmond, Activision Sherman Oaks. You got Bethesda Game Studios in Rockville, Maryland, Bethesda Game Studios in Austin, Bethesda Game Studios in Dallas. You got Blizzard in Irvine, but you also have Blizzard Albany, Blizzard Austin, Blizzard Boston. Blizzard alone has like 10,000 employees or something like that. It's crazy. I can't remember the numbers specifically. Double Fine, Halo Studios. They don't own. Well, yeah, they do. Sorry, I got them confused. Yeah, High Moon Studios. I got them confused with Moon Studio. High Moon Studios, id, Infinity Ward, in LA, and Infinity Ward in Austin as well. In Exile, and in Tustin, California, and in Exile in New Orleans. Then you got King, which is made up of 3 different locations. You got Microsoft Casual Game Studio, Mojang, Obsidian, Raven, Sledgehammer, Solid State Studios, The Initiative, Treyarch Santa Monica, Treyarch Austin, Turn 10, Undead Labs in Seattle, Orlando, and Champaign, Illinois. You have World's Edge. Then you have ZeniMax Online Studios in Hunt Valley, San Diego, Madison, and Austin. So that's the Canada and Mexico and US. I mean, like yeah, I've just put it into perspective. Like Sony's looks nothing like this. It's like maybe like 20, something like that. Or is it like 25 for PlayStation? I don't know. Yeah, Xbox has a shit ton. They have stuff in Asia, in China, Japan, South Korea, and Taiwan, all mostly part of Activision and Blizzard. In China, mostly with Mojang, Raven, Blizzard, Demonware, and Activision as well. Then they also have some stuff in Australia. Whew. Yeah, it's crazy. Now PlayStation, I'm gonna just look up list of PlayStation owned studios. Okay. Well, that's not. Here we go. All right, so they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Plus Bungie, the 20. And Bungie's made up of a couple parts, I think. So, yeah, they got like over twice as many studios. Anyway, yeah. Crazy, right? Ban Mav, ban Fuzzy. So who were y'all wanting me to ban? I didn't even see this. Is somebody trolling? There's always a couple, right? Always a couple. But anyway, guys, it was fun conversations, and I hope you'll have a good one. Yeah, catch us like I said earlier. PM in the PM tomorrow, 7 PM Eastern time. Then we got Xbox Ultimate Podcast Friday night at 9 PM Eastern time. And look for more streams. We may have some more streams this weekend and other stuff going on. But I hope everyone has a good one. Appreciate it. And thanks for letting me get talk about this shit and tell you my perspective. It's going to be a lot different than a lot of people's, but that's just the way I am with this stuff. And maybe you think the same, maybe you don't. I don't know, but we'll see. Leave a comment below, like, share, subscribe, notification bell, all that cool stuff. Have a good one, everybody. Peace out.